All right, welcome everybody. We're here with Steve Baas, our Senior Vice President of Governmental Affairs. And Steve, what happened with the state budget and some projected tax revenue that was much higher than expected?
Well, Christmas came early for state budgeters as the Legislative Fiscal Bureau readjusted their revenue estimates, and they were $4.4 billion higher than expected going into the next biennium. So it's a lot of new money available that comes with some opportunities. It also comes with some challenges.
Do we know what happened? How they were that far off?
Well, the couple of reasons they were that far off. I mean, first of all, spending was a little more robust. It all comes back to the COVID assistance that the federal government just kept pouring on states and individuals like a fire hose. Individuals had additional money to spend because of COVID relief measures. And so sales tax collections and some of the consumer side revenues continued to be more robust than the more cautious early estimates were. And then also the previous estimates were made before the ARPA, the last round of federal assistance came through. And that, of course, was a multi-billion-dollar injection of cash from the federal government. So it really all has to do with the COVID relief. On one side, it's the individual spending habits that were supported and the consumer spending habits that were supported by the individual assistance. And on the other side, there was the billions of dollars funneled to government through the COVID relief bills.
I would imagine there may be some partisan disagreement over what to do with the money. What ideas are out there and what would the chamber support?
Yeah, I mean, I really think you have some practical and some philosophical disagreements that will probably come up. Practically or philosophically, you know, when you have a one-time injection of this, we're not going to have another ARPA next January, giving the states, you know, $4 billion of federal assistance. And so, you know, there are people who argue, look, we need to be cautious how we spend this because in a lot of ways it's one-time money. This is not ongoing revenue that we can count on. And even the consumer spending is not necessarily something that is just automatic. And so we ought to build this into our reserves and build for a future so that we can have a sustained, steady economy. There are others who say, you know, hey, we got this money, let's just spend it. Let's just go crazy and spend it. And of course, for every dollar of government money that's out there, there are $3 of ideas of how to spend it. And so there's a fiscal feeding frenzy, both state and locally. And I think that's really what it's going to come down to is, do you put this away and shore it up for future budgets so that you can maybe do some bigger things and make some bigger changes downrange? Or do you use it all right now as as kind of an election year influx, or you know, kind of play Santa Claus with it to the people and the special interests around the state? You know, for us, I think the fiscal responsibility message resonates quite well with businesses. You know, you don't build one-time money into a continuing base, but I do think this one-time money gives us some opportunities to do some things in terms of capital projects. And we saw that last week with the investments in the Milwaukee Public Museum, the investments in I-94. It also, this week, the legislature is going to be taking up taxes. And it gives us an opportunity to make some historic tax reforms, like repealing the personal property tax, which MMAC has been working on for nearly a decade now, to completely repeal that property tax on business. With this additional money, you can kind of smooth the shock of repealing that revenue stream into government. So I think we have some opportunities where we might want to spend some of that to structurally position Wisconsin's economy and tax climate more competitively going forward. But I think we want to be cautious that we just don't blow it all and build it into a base and dig a hole for the future.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Anything else we should know?
No, not really, other than on the personal property tax issue. If you ever wanted to get rid of that, now's the time to call the governor, call your state legislators, get in touch with them, tell them we have a golden opportunity here to finally get that tax off the books. The beautiful thing is when you're eliminating a tax rather than cutting a tax, it's awfully hard to bring it back. And so we have a golden opportunity here to once and for all get rid of that onerous and outdated personal property tax on businesses. So contact your legislators, get out there and see if we can't get this done this week in the tax package.
Steve, thanks as always for your time and perspective, and thanks to everybody out there for tuning in.